I got him good. Let me break down for you the playbook of the alt-right. Robin Skies, whose real name is Adam Beattie, is a conservative staffer. And not like the normal conservatives, John-Rustad conservatives. And if you don't know what that means, he's nuts. And what guys like Adam like to do is they like to say pretty heinous things, but they say it in a way that's a dog whistle. What that means is that the average person might not know what it means, but it signals to people, part of the alt-right, hey, this is what I really mean. He usually does this to say things that are kind of fascistic. So for example, he was talking about how the US could invade Canada with Abram tanks if Canada didn't let Alberta secede. And then when I called him a fascist, he was like, whoa, 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 I didn't incite violence. Except you did. When you talk about using violence to overthrow a democratically elected government, that's actually called domestic terrorism, Adam. So that's what you did right there. And as you can tell, I'm getting a little bit worked up here. And that's the thing. His goal is to work people up. So I am falling into his trap. But I also laid some bait because I knew that he just couldn't help himself. I'm going to show you clips from a video that he posted today, except it's not on his page anymore. He took it down. Weird. The view counts were really low, and that kind of makes me wonder, does he take down videos when they don't have good views? Is he actually that vain? Or did he realize, as I commented, that the thing that he was accusing me of, he was literally doing in that video, and it would be very easy to point out the hypocrisy? Let us begin.
Showing mass fascism now. Okay, that is literally fascism. Hey, so I didn't say any of that. Content creators on this app will often take clips out of context in an attempt to gaslight their audience into believing a false narrative about someone else on the app.
Oh, like you did with me in that first video that's still up on your page? You see, what you did there was you did the exact same thing that you're accusing me of. But let's go on.
Normally I wouldn't respond to these things. I ignore most of them that hit me, but this is a really good opportunity for me to explain to my audience and to everybody else on this app how this type of gaslighting works. Frank is assuming that everybody's just going to believe what he's saying instead of going and looking at the original source. Including me!
It's a you, Mario!
So let me just run you guys through it real quick. How this rhetoric works is it goes in 3 parts. I'm framing up your opposition, 2, giving cherry-picked clips, and 3, assuming that your audience is going to believe you and not believe the other person. TikTok is a vacuum, right? We sort of just scroll through the For You page. We oftentimes don't even get to see the original videos. These are really easy to frame, to position, and to gaslight.
Now he's about to say that what I did is I cut a part of his video out of context and I used that to frame my narrative. But he literally, as I said, did that with my other video. So let's start with that. You see, Adam goes on to talk about how we should watch the whole video and keep it all in context because in context, it makes more sense. What he doesn't say is that he never showed my whole video. And then he goes on to say, oh, well, we should be linking the commenter, the creator in the comments down below so that people can follow the link to the original video so people can get the whole story. Except he literally did not do that for my video. He didn't even tag me in it. I had to go get there and find it because somebody tagged me in that video, and then I had to be like, hey man, it's kind of cowardly to not tag somebody in a video when you're commenting on them.
There are some alt-right content creators out there right now who are going to try to terrify you. Right off the jump, he automatically tells you what you should think of the other content creator, setting the stage for him to be able to find clips that will then reaffirm the bias that he's already put in your head. Not presenting the entire argument itself, but instead presenting a piece of the argument and then adding their own context to it that isn't accurate. Oh, so we're showing mass fascism now, okay. That's not what I was saying at all, but the audience that he has wouldn't know that because he's not allowing them to see the entire thing. Would you like to see what I originally had said? Jurisdiction. Alberta decides to declare its independence, and the United States of America decides to acknowledge its independence. What the hell is Canadian jurisdiction going to do against an M1 Abrams? Because it turns out actions have consequences, and some of the consequences of the actions of the federal government over the course of the last decade is that one of its provinces now wants to leave. Suddenly, when you hear the whole argument in context, it's actually not all that frightening.
It's still bad. As I said earlier in this video, it might not necessarily be fascism, but it's definitely inciting domestic terrorism because what you are saying is that you want to use violence to stop your political opponents from being able to do what they want. That is literally the definition of domestic terrorism, okay? When you are using violence to enact political change. That is what you want. You want the US government to use their tanks to enact political violence to allow Alberta to separate from Canada.
Like Frank, are not actually capable of arguing against their opposition, so what they do is they create straw man logical fallacies that they can then attack in public to garner emotional support for their own position and attempts to throw shade at the person that they are trying to argue against. At the end of the day, the thing that I want to say to all of you guys is make sure to go and look at both posts. Never make an assumption based off of one.
As I said earlier, he literally didn't allow you guys to do that because in the video that's still up on his page, as I showed you, it doesn't link back to my account.
I am throwing shade at another content creator. Please go watch what they have to say and listen to it in good faith and judge both arguments. So if you don't end up doing that, it's bad for both people. It's bad for the content creator because you believe something horrible about them, but it's also bad for you because, well, you're believing a lie. When I start talking like this, it's because I'm terrified. Took the words right out of my mouth.
If I took the words right out of your mouth, why did you delete the video? Because it's either you knew that you were wrong, or it's because it got bad views. Either way, I'm sure this one will get a lot more. Adam, we can keep doing this song and dance as long as you want. Or we can go back to ignoring each other. It's your choice.